Namaste and welcome to this self-care session. My name is Luke and in this session we'll be chanting, breathing, gently moving and finally enjoying a luscious relaxation. The props you will need for this session are ideally a chair, 2 blocks and 3 blankets. You could substitute the chair with your sofa, your bed, anywhere you can rest your legs on. The blocks I'll be using to support my wrists and hands, they could be substituted by pillows or blankets. And the blankets, I will be using one to cover myself in Shavasana, one to make this chilly metal chair slightly more comfortable and warm. So if you're using a sofa or a bed, you don't need that second blanket. And the third blanket I'll be using to support my head and neck in Shavasana. That could be substituted by a pillow. So please take your time to gather all the props you need. Pause the video if you need a little more time, and then come back to start the session. To come together and center in the present moment, I would like to start by joining the palms of the hands together in Anjali Mudra in front of the heart, closing the eyes and chanting the hymn of the universe, Om, 3 times. So sit up straight, close your eyes, take a moment to rest your awareness in the flow of your breath, and then exhale everything for our first Om together. Take a deep inhale. Inhale again. And our third and final Om, deep inhale. Keep your eyes closed for a few more breaths. Rest your hands in your lap or on your thighs. And for today's session, I've chosen joy as our theme. What if we could experience more joy in our lives? Not by buying or gathering things that we think will bring us joy, but by creating the circumstances in which joy could spontaneously arise. And since everything begins with consciousness, let's bring our awareness to a place, a person, or an activity that brings us joy. A place, a person, or an activity that brings you joy. And if you have thought of that place, that person, or that activity, feel the joy arise in your heart and let it spread through your body, your mind, your soul. And if you can't think of anything right here, right now, that's perfectly fine too. Hopefully, this next part will bring you as much joy as it brings me, without fault. And that's chanting. And for this session, I've chosen a mantra that is a slightly longer version of Mahatma Gandhi's favorite mantra. And Gandhi's favorite mantra apparently was Ram. Just one word, Ram, and chanting can be just that, repeating one word. And this mantra, Ram, is perceived to awaken joy in the heart. And in my experience, the slightly longer version, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, has exactly the same effect. So I'll begin, and as soon as you feel ready, chant along with me. And if you feel doubtful about chanting, then just let the sound vibration move through you and let it awaken joy in that way. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. 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 Part 2. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. 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 Back to the start. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. 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 Part 2. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. 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 Part 3. Sitaram, Sitaram, Sitaram. 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 Sitaram, Sitaram. Back to the start. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. 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 For our pranayama practice, I have chosen the breath of joy. How else could I? And this is a practice that is usually practiced standing up, that can be quite vigorous, ideal to start the day with joy, or as a pick-me-up in the afternoon. But it can also be practiced in a seated way, in a much more calm but not less joyful manner. And whether you know the practice or you don't, the way I practice it seated is as follows. The in-breath is divided into 3 parts, and the exhale is 1 out-breath. And it is accompanied by arm movements and by sound. On the inhale, we'll bring the arms forward, out to the side, up, and back down. In, 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 exhale out. Inhale, 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 and on the exhale, we usually say ha or a similar sound. Since we've been chanting Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, I suggest we say Ram on the exhale. And if you want, you can chant without making sound internally. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai, and then Ram. So, in, out, Ram. And we'll do that 5 times. Ram, And you can do it as quickly or as slowly as feels comfortable to you. Inhale joy, exhale Ram. So let's go 5 times together, or everyone in their own time and rhythm. Ram. 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 As we begin to move a little more, I'm going to set my props off to the side. Voila. And for this movement, I've chosen a shoulder bridge variation on which we can also practice some of the arm movements we've just done for our breath of joy. So lay down onto your back, knees bent, feet approximately hip distance apart. And we'll be practicing a dynamic shoulder bridge. And you can simply move the arms up on an inhale while you bring the pelvis up, and then bring the arms back down when the pelvis lowers back onto the mat. Or, and you could do this a couple of times, or you could practice this movement, moving the pelvis up and down, by bringing the arms up, out to the side, back up, and then back down. So it looks a little bit like this. And internally, you could be repeating Shri Ram, arms out to the side, pelvis down. J, arms back up, pelvis back up. Ram, arms down, pelvis down. So let's do that 5 times together, or you on your own pace. Inhale up, Shri. Exhale down, Ram, arms to the side. Inhale up, J. Exhale down, Ram. Inhale up, Shri. Exhale down, arms to the side, Ram. Inhale up, J. Exhale down, arms to the side of the body, Ram. 3 more on your own pace. Final one. Take a few breaths here. Maybe let the knees rest against one another, feet a little wider. And feel the mantra Ram buzzing in your heart. And on an exhale, roll onto your side. Use your hands to bring yourself back up to seated position. And before we move on to our Shavasana with legs elevated, I would like to practice one more asana with you, and that is a supported back bend on one blanket. If you've never folded a yoga blanket before, it's fairly easy. Every blanket is a rectangle and has a long and short side. We take the long side in between our hands, fold the short side to the short side. We do that 3 times. The long edge of the blanket in between the hands, folding short edge to short edge. Second time. And then the long edge in between the hands for the 3rd time, and folding short edge to short edge for the 3rd time. And for our supported back bend, one blanket back bend, we fold it 1 more time. And then we lay the blanket in such a way that the edge with only one fold is orientated toward where our head will be, and all of the layers are orientated toward where feet will be. And for this supported back bend, we're going to make sure that the tips of our shoulder blades, the bottom tips of the shoulder blades, are supported by the blanket, and the tops of our shoulders are going to rest on the mat. And it may look like nothing special, but it's actually a very simple yet powerful pose. You can bring your arms into a cactus position overhead, or out to the side more. Or if this makes your arms or your hands tingle, you could either support them on a blanket or on blocks or on a pillow, or you could also just bring your hands onto your pelvis. Whichever position feels most comfortable to you. And I'm already taking a deep breath in, which points to the fact that the relaxation response has been activated. And just rest your awareness in the flow of your breath, and feel as if your body is melting like ice, melting and spreading out over your blanket and your mat and the floor. And since this is a back bend, the bottom ribs are parting slightly. More space is created in the chest area, around the heart. And this reminds me of this moment in the Ramayana, the famous epic in which the story of Rama is told, of Rama and Sita being separated, and finally being reunited with the help of Hanuman, the monkey god. And at one point, Hanuman is asked to prove his devotion to Ram. And very unexpectedly, he tears open his chest, and to everyone's astonishment, there is an image of Rama and Sita right there in the space of the heart. Take one more breath and then bring movement to your fingers and your ankles, your wrists, your arms. Bring the arms alongside the body. And then using your elbows and your feet, lift up the pelvis and bring it up onto the blanket. So your shoulders move slightly up toward where your head was, and the pelvis can rest on the blanket for a moment, and the shoulders can rest on the mat. And then roll onto your side. Use your hands to bring yourself back up. And now it's time for Shavasana. I'm placing my blanket onto the seat of the chair to make it a little softer and warmer. I'm opening up the blanket I'll be using to cover myself, so it's ready to go. Blocks left and right to support my wrists, and one blanket, this could be a pillow, to support my head. If you know the Restorative Yoga head support, then you'll know exactly what I'll be doing and showing. If you're unfamiliar, then you take the blanket that you folded 3 times, fold it one more time, with the soft edge, all of the layers on top, and keeping the bottom layer free, about a third or a fourth of your blanket to support your shoulders. And place it where you think your head is going to land. Shavasana with legs elevated. You start by bringing your blanket around your feet and lower legs, and then by supporting yourself with your hands, you place the lower legs onto the chair. I'm going to take away my blanket so you can follow along better and see what I'm doing. So I'm placing my lower legs onto the seat of the chair in such a way that the backs of my knees are supported by the seat of the chair. There's no space here. My shins are approximately horizontal, or the ankles can be a little lower than the knees. So all of my joints will be in flexion, the position of relaxation. I'm going to slightly rotate the legs or the legs inward. You can even grab the flesh of the backs of the lower legs. And this will create, for most people, a slightly more relaxed position in the thighs. Lower onto the elbows and onto the back. I'm going to support the tops of the shoulders this time, not the tops of the shoulders with the lowest layer of my blanket. And then I'm going to grab hold of the top layer of the blanket. Make sure that I support cervical vertebra C7. The bump you can feel with your hand when you bring your chin to your chest. So that's going to be supported with the top layer of my blanket, and then I'm going to grab hold of both sides of the top layer and fold it under and in toward the neck to create a nice and snug head and neck support. Then grab hold of the bottom layer, do exactly the same thing. Turn it under and in. And finally, grab hold of the top corners of your blanket, fold it under and in so that my head and neck are firmly yet softly held at the same time by the blanket. You can grab hold of your wrists and pull your arms to create more space between the shoulders. You could also cross over like this. And finally, if you like, you can pick up your head and lengthen the back of the neck, and then lower your head back down into the support. Finally, if you have something I forgot to tell you, but you could pause the video and still grab it. Cover your eyes with an eye pillow or an eye mask or a scarf. Or if you're wearing a hoodie, just pull it slightly over your head, forehead and eyes. And then rest your hands onto the blocks or the pillows or the blankets, whichever support you chose. And then take a few breaths and feel your body surrender to the breath, to the props. I'm going to come out of the pose so I can watch the time for you. And I'll bring you out by playing on the harmonium. And until you hear the harmonium, feel the weight of your body drop and widen. Feel your muscles give way and release to the props. Allow your sacrum to spread and widen against the floor. Also feel or visualize the back of your head widening and spreading across the blanket. Let go of your jaw, your tongue, your throat, your eyes. Settle into the support and stillness. Let your breath become very soft, shallow, and slow. With each breath and with each passing moment, draw your awareness inside. And until I bring you out of the pose by playing the harmonium, allow a deep relaxation to spread throughout your entire body. And rest in the stillness and silence you hold within. Shavasana. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Deepen your breath. Bring movement to your fingers and your toes. Your wrists and your ankles. Your arms and your legs. Bend the knees one by one. Place your feet on the edge of your chair. Bring the knees into your chest. On an exhale, roll onto your side. And use your bottom arm as a pillow. Pause there for a breath or two. And then use your hands and your arms to push yourself back up to a seated position. The head is the last to come up. Make yourself comfortable. Close your eyes for a few more moments. Sit up straight. Bring your attention back to your heart. To the sun in your heart. The joy in your heart. And to finish, let's interlace our fingers. Left thumb over right and both index fingers extended. Uttara Bodhi Mudra. And you can practice this mudra with the arms overhead or in front of the sun in your heart. And this mudra is known as the seal or the Buddhist seal of spiritual enlightenment that helps to let go, also known as the letting go gesture. So known to let go or to help to let go feelings of stress and negativity. And so we can awaken to a state of pure joy. So hands in Uttara Bodhi Mudra, closing the eyes and bringing our attention back to that place, that person, that activity that brings us joy. Ram, Ram, Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Let's finish by chanting the hymn of the universe, Om, 3 times. Once for a place, once for a person, and once for an activity that brings you joy. Exhale. Deep inhale. Thank you for joining me. I wish you peace, harmony, laughter, and love.